L.O.A.D. with Wookie and Leprechaun and the Model Rocketeer and the Wicked Wookie. All right, so awesome. Everybody, welcome to the Late Night Load. And it's me, Web C. We got the Leprechaun and the Model Rocketeer are in the house tonight, and we are just getting ourselves all situated for the show. I just finished up work on a model and got my station all cleaned up. I feel so happy and energized about that. And
It's like what the Trailer Park Boys made, like my big ass eyes.
Bubbles. We got no man. Call you Super Bubbles. And then yeah, it's just it's been a great week. Snow's been shitty, of course, for everybody up here in our area. But yeah, other than that, it's been a great week. So where do we want to start off tonight on our adventures? What do we want to do? Because, like I said, I just closed out the Planet Serpo event, so we're not really going to touch bases too much on that. It was a great story, though. So just so you guys know, go back, watch our last 5-6 episodes on YouTube and of the Late Night Load, and you'll get caught up on the whole Planet Serpo thing. What is so amazing about the Planet Serpo is during the time it was written and published, the stuff that's in there, we all would have just shook our heads and said, "No, that's not real. This is all fantasy." Like none of it had come to light yet about what we're, and that's like the biggest thing I want to keep going back to and talking about on that whole subject is that person, whoever they were, that they were giving out that data, that they were getting good data. They were right there on point with that data. So I was definitely impressed with that. And then the story itself just, they didn't get out there super offlandish and far-fetched and stuff like that. And they didn't hyper fixate on any detail to the point to where it made you feel like it was that bad. However, I felt like during the audio editing or whatever, it felt like quite a bit of the story got hit on repeat a couple times.
Yeah,
like it wasn't me touching anything or doing anything. It felt like they hit the repeat button a couple times on a few audio sections. But what I did get out of that was each time I heard that double overlay, I was getting, hey, this is important. You should pay attention. If you didn't, here it is again.
Right.
And then my brain digested more of that, I guess. So yeah, there's some some goodness to it and some differentness about it and everything that was interesting. Leprechaun just sent me a. Oh, I don't want to talk to this guy right now, but Leprechaun earlier today sent me a video, and I think we should all check it out.
The Nightbot one or the Indigo one?
The Wendigo one.
Indigo,
because I was telling you, I was going to share a story from my culture, from my tribe about that. Now so we'll start there.
I would have liked to have found like the video without her really talking over it. I didn't research to find that for you though. I was scrolling through. I seen that one. I was just like, oh, I like this. Let me just send it off to Oz so he can bookmark it.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So we'll watch this video, and then I will tell you guys a story about what happened in my tribe, and how we handle the Wendigos. Okay, so. All right, so this lady, it's just a real quick video. I'm going to go to the link.
The video I'm about to show you is freaking out the internet. Take a look at this deer and watch what it does.
The copyrights on that fucking X-Files.
Right. So I'm going to say that's
calling you out. Because they fucking shut us down.
Oh, yeah, but that was less than 10 seconds. Okay, so, all right. So she's going to start talking about some stuff here, so pay attention.
caught the camera and it's like, oh shit, can't do it now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.
Right.
Also, follow me on YouTube, link in bio.
No, never mind. All right, so she's talking about this mythological creature called the Wendigo. Okay. It's got a couple different ways you can spell it, pronounce it, and everything. In the Southwest, it's Wendigo or Wendigo. Up here in the Midwest, we call a Wendigo. And then over on the East Coast, it's W-Y-N instead of W-I-N. They changed the spelling so it's a Wendigo. So I don't know. So there's a couple different spellings, but anyway, so the story that I know about the Wendigo that happened here in Minnesota back when I was probably a year or two old. So Craig, Leprechaun here would have probably been about 5 or 6. What happened was we had a really bad snowstorm when we were little, and the snowstorm was so bad that up north in our northern parts, it was really hard back then. It was really hard to get to and from populated areas up north there where the Native Americans and stuff lived. And this one family, they got snowed in, and they didn't come out. They didn't dig their way out. They didn't come out for food or shelter, from their shelter. They lived. The few of them that were there, a few people died, and the sheriff went out to investigate. Well, the way the story ends is the sheriff, after he investigated, everybody was accounted for, and everyone was dead when the sheriff left the property. And the reason why is because we don't talk about it a lot, but in the Ojibwe, the Lakota, and the Cree tribes up here in the Midwest, this part up here, we believe in this spiritual creature, and we believe that if you consume, the way you become this creature is how you consume the flesh of a human. It's not just consuming the flesh of a human, but like you have to consume a certain person's flesh in a certain way and stuff like that. Well, when the sheriff did his due diligence and everything, and when he went onto the property, he found out that the kids ate the parents, and that usually that's the first sign that something's gone awry. But when cannibalism like that happens, yeah, they in our tribes we take cannibalism very seriously. So the sheriff, he didn't even bring them to trial. He just he unalived everybody on site because of the supernatural factor of what this Wendigo creature is and can do and stuff like that. That's why he didn't want to give the person, whoever it was, their chance to become the supernatural being that they could have became. So that's the story in a very condensed nutshell. But it was like me hearing it growing up when I heard it, and my dad told me this story, and my grandma, she confirmed that she knew the tribal chief that went out and took care of this, and she was like one of the first people that he told this story to. And it was just like, for me, it was crazy. But you can actually you can look up I think there is a newspaper article related to the story, but they don't go into talking about the Wendigo.
Right.
They do talk about the sheriff finding, going out and finding these specific people off this property. And that's all they go into. They don't go into very much detail in this article or anything, but they did the article as kind of like a cover hush, like, oh, they died during the blizzard and blah, blah, blah. And the sheriff couldn't make it out there until the first spring break and stuff like that of nature. So that's how they covered it. But it was very much so a Wendigo case. And like I was telling Leprechaun when he sent me that video, I was like, in my head, that story just popped up. I was like, yeah, I got a good story to tell you. Like, this is like the instant case. Because what would happen is after so many days or whatever, there's like a transformation, kind of like the werewolf mythology. You'll go through a transformation period where you'll become an animal of some sort. And then you have to figure your way. The stories all talk about you have to figure your way back into your human form. And then once you can once you can move between your human form and your animal form, then you can learn other forms like mists and clouds and other shit. Very vampiric like. It actually has a very vampire similarities with the powers they give the creature and how the creature consumes and lives. And then they believe that the Wendigos have another like an extended life. When you look them up, they'll say they have an extended life, but they're not immortal like vampires. They're very, very. You can still kill and wound them and stuff, type of a deal. So that's the only difference between them and vampires, I think, is that you can kill them easier. You don't have to have like silver shot or nothing in your thing. You just,
Right. Okay.
But the whole unaliving of a Wendigo, it's a depressing thought because you're like, man, maybe we should catch it and figure out what it is. Well, we know what it is. They're like, so the theories are, it all is centered around cannibalism and the whole weirdness of that. Anybody else?
I got nothing. I just thought that video was interesting. Did you watch that video I sent you from a Night God?
I tried to, but I was being distracted by the kids.
That sounds about right.
So, because that one you just sent this one. Oh no, I was in the middle of my show when you sent this one.
Yeah. You had already started your kit
Russian
bash.
soldiers encounter Anunnaki horde while fighting underground in Syria. After nearly 4 days of operating behind enemy lines, navigating through tunnels and caves in Syria, the Russian group of Spetsnaz soldiers were closing in on their target. Their mission was to search and destroy ISIS freedom fighters, who, according to Kremlin intel, were hauled up in a cave deep in the Syrian mountains. They have been navigating the vast network of tunnels for hours. When as they approached their objective, Captain Vasilyevich held up his fist to halt. He points to his ears and speaks into the mic. About 100 feet ahead, as they peered through the stalagmite-filled cavern, there appeared to be an opening. When listening carefully, you could hear the hum of a group of ISIS soldiers talking. According to their intel, the ISIS soldiers were set up in a small opening within the mountain system that had 2 to 3 tunnels leading to the high ground. Vasilyevich orders one of his group to go scout. He's gone about 5 minutes and comes back and relays that there's 50 to 60 soldiers with their guard down in this cavern. And you know the drill, my people. For entertainment purposes only, what I present to you may or may not be true. I just give the details and let you decide. Enjoy this one. It's the perfect opportunity. These freedom fighters aren't even expecting what's coming. Vasilyevich then orders them to move towards the cavern, and they do so quietly. When they get to the opening, they ambush the ISIS freedom fighters, taking all of them out. They continued sweeping the rest of the cavern to make sure they had neutralized all the threats. And they did. Vasilyevich was just about ready to radio mission success back to the headquarters, when suddenly he hears something. It seems to be beeping and chirping sounds from the cavern adjacent to the one they were in. He gets in the ready formation and tells his men to move forward. He'd detail in his report later that it reminded him of some form of primitive Morse code. He and his crew of 15 moved forcefully to the next cavern over. This cavern was even bigger than the one they were just in. Their ceilings were 100 meters high, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The group of highly trained Spetsnaz warriors stood there stunned. It was a team of Anunnaki warriors that stood anywhere from 5 to 15 meters tall, and they weren't happy about the Russian soldiers' presence. You could hear the sound of what seemed like a laser being fired from a plasma weapon echo from the cavern walls. Vasilyevich looks to his left, and one of his soldiers disintegrates before his eyes to a pile of nothing. Anunnaki warriors gained the advantage in a matter of seconds. They were laying it on thick as the golden rays from their particle beams illuminated the cavern walls. Vasilyevich watched as 8 of his men were reduced to nothing. And as the Russians fired upon their enemy, the captain quickly realized that their bullets had no effect on the exoskeleton of the Anunnaki. They simply bounced off. Atadzits, he yells, as he knew they didn't stand a chance. So he and the remaining men started to flee. The Anunnaki warriors began their pursuit. They were out for blood. They continued to outflank them throughout the network of tunnels. It was as if they knew them like the back of their hand. Vasilyevich's men could feel them hot on their heels. They had laser beams flying past their heads. One, then another, then another. 3 more of his men go down. As they stumble through the underground caves, 2 more of his men go down. Now it's just Vasilyevich and 1 man remaining. When one of the Anunnaki warriors gives out a loud cry, he's coming from an adjacent cave Vasilyevich just passed. He grabs the soldier behind him and slams him against the wall, crushing him. Fear swarms over Vasilyevich's body at the sight. There's only 50 feet left. He gets a burst of adrenaline and sprints towards daylight. He can hear one of the Anunnaki giant's footsteps just feet behind him. When he bursts through the opening, he stumbles and falls to his stomach, just waiting for the foot of one of the warriors to crush him. But much to his surprise, nothing happens. He gets up, turns around, and the group of Anunnaki are just standing at the cave exit, watching him. He turns and continues running with everything he has. Surprised, they're not pursuing him. He runs until he can run no more. He finds a safe spot and radios headquarters. He explains to them that all of his men are dead. He can't tell how over the radio, but he calls for a chopper. After getting back to base, he explains to his superiors exactly what took place in those caverns. Their response was bleak, much to his surprise, as if they already knew about these Anunnaki warriors. Just a day later, they flew him back to Kremlin headquarters in Russia. There, he would tell his story to high-ranking Russian officials. They didn't hesitate, and they put a gag order on him and locked him away. But that wasn't before a political figure within Kremlin got the information, and he leaked it. According to the producer of the story, this was leaked by a trusted source within the Kremlin organization. The Kremlin is a group of fortified Russian citadels, one of them being the presidential palace. This is where a lot of deliberation takes place for important political issues in Russia. Flashback to 2019, when Turkish forces attacked Syrian city Ras Al Ain. This was the result.
All right, so that's a different story, right?
No, it isn't, but it's related. But we can pause and talk about the first one.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that first one. Like, I get a few similarities from this story and the Iraq and Afghanistan stories. Like, there's a few similarities.
The weapons is a different. There's not really similarities there. I mean, the Iraq one, it was more barbaric. You know, it almost seemed as far as weapon wise.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, very barbaric. This is very high tech.
So I mean, a couple of things that kind of caught me with this one is, I mean, if my first thought when they're talking about, you know, them taking out the ISIS group and then all of a sudden hearing a noise from, you know, the tavern afterwards, I was like, well, why would they just be right there? And then my rational thinking was, okay, maybe they, you know, were headed in that direction because they heard the echoes of the gunfire. Who knows how long that took if they're taking out 50, 60, you know, ISIS guys. You know, and then the other thing that kind of bugged me a little bit about the story was when he was, you know, they didn't want to leave the cave for whatever reason, whether it's, you know, sunlight, whatever the reason was. But if they had those, you know, devices that can shoot beams, why didn't they still just take him out even though he was out of their actual grasp?
Yep.
That's an interesting.
So those are my two kind of, you know.
Yeah, they're standing at the cave entrance. I mean, you like to reach out and shoot him. Ching. I mean, that deal.
Yeah.
I could be the naysayer on that aspect to say that, like, if you're standing in a cave, that bright light coming from outside of a cave could be a little bit blinding and disorienting to your aim, especially if you're a creature that lives in the darkness a lot. Mm-hmm. That would be a big reason to think that maybe.
But there's always
they couldn't shoot.
But like even in the military, they teach you to spray and pray at some point.
Right.
I'm blinded by a frag or a concussion grenade or something. You know, you can feel when your gun is level and you just squeeze trigger.
That's a thought. I was just saying, like, you know, I agree with that too. The spray and pray, I totally agree with that too. But I'm just saying, like, on the dissident side of it is I do definitely see that there could be some logic behind why they didn't pursue out or they didn't shoot out, and that would be one. Another one would be maybe they had their weapons had lost charge. Maybe they have to charge them after so many fires. You know, just like any other weapon. I know it's electrical and stuff, but hey, even a taser runs out of power.
Yeah.
So that's my other thought. Those are my only two to help the story along.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I thought, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's something about, you know what I mean. I mean, caves just get me. You know, what I mean, you get into a lot of these, uh, uh, however you want to describe them, conspiracies or these stories, and a lot of them have to do with caves. But I mean,
Caves become a big part, don't they?
well, yeah, they do. But
Right. I think it's
I mean,
integral because we're always talking about this hollow earth. It's like we don't know it's at the bottom of the ocean. Uh, we haven't discovered everything yet. So if there's
yep.
these giant cave systems, what could be in there? I mean, let alone the
Well,
ones that we do know that they're not telling us about because they've already found shit in there.
Oh, totally, totally. And
yeah,
then the whole thing. My thing with caves, what makes me accept that there's so much supernatural about them, is because I feel like caves are the echo chambers of sound. Like they have such a whenever sound passes through a cave system, it has such a unique way that it passes through caves that I think some caves can be considered like they can create a magical field of sound vibration. And I don't know, that's where I think the magic comes from, is that when sound starts moving through the cave, the magic comes alive, and the
I mean,
magic of the cave is what transfers.
but yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, I remember being a kid and just, the idea of caves were almost, mythical and magical, and it was exciting to even think about. I remember finding some of the caves down by the falls and being like, let's go, like this is getting
Mm-hmm.
excited about it. But it's like, you think about it nowadays with all the technology we have, with all the drones, like what's stopping them from doing detailed mappings of caves, and or they probably already have, in which why isn't it just basic public knowledge if there's nothing special there? I mean, you hear lots of stories and theories of, massive cave networks going across, all of the United States. Some people,
Right.
you know, you know, say that there's stuff that connects to a lot of the world in deeper caves.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so what are they running into that is stopping them from making it more public and it just not being a big deal?
Well, okay, so in Europe, what they keep running into is they keep running into um architecture and stuff that suggests humans or some sort of intelligent group lived in these caves below. So there will be
Yeah.
like an organic layer, and then there will be a non-organic layer underneath that organic layer. Like somehow the mud floods happened, and then water started eroding out, and then certain sections underneath where humans were still living underneath in the dark, they were able to come up. You know what I mean? And that's what I think might have happened with a lot of humanity throughout the world. We see that within the cave systems in Malaysia and Southeast Asia and their cave systems, a lot of the pygmy species of humanities lived in the caves of those islands and stuff. They found hundreds of fossils of all these different pygmy species of either ape or human. They were right there in between, like a missing link family member, and they were like, wow. But they were like hobbit size. They were like, we're calling them the hobbits of whatever island or whatever. And they did like a big huge special when we were younger. Like we were like 21 or around the age of 20, 21, and they did like this big huge special, and everybody, like the whole world, like apparently tuned into this special at one point or time or another on this. And it was just crazy because everybody's like, oh wow, little people, they found a real hobbit and shit.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Right.
because we were thinking that's what they were really finding. Well, it turns out that they weren't finding living; they were finding bones of them and stuff. And we were like, "Oh, okay, that's cool too." And
Well, if you talk, if you want to dig into, the reptilian humanoids, right? Again, it digs all the way right back down into them living in
yep,
caves under us as
uh-huh,
we live and breathe.
yep,
So it's these caves. It's just caves. They just keep getting brought up, and
oh yeah,
then we
yeah.
keep
They're
getting, Firefly. What were they doing? They were in there, searching out caves.
mhm. Yeah, definitely. Or Hellier, yeah.
Or Hellier,
Yeah. They're definitely in there searching out caves and stuff. And that was one of the things that, like, in Hellier, they talked a lot about the synchronicity of similarity, and how that affects a sense of movement. Like you can feel the movement of a story as it moves outward from so many similarities, and then people relate and compound onto it and stuff. And they like brought it out to be like, like this sort of like mental magic spell that humans can cast on themselves, type of thing, where if enough of us believe in something, we write it down, we say it over and over again, and we bring it into truth. Like we said forever, for ages, we said dragons were real. And then at some point in time in the 1700s or something, some dude decided we're going to stop calling them dragons and we're going to call them dinosaurs. And then that was the way of the road, right? That dude, he made that change. And while we still like to fantasy about dragons, we have accepted that this dude changed what we called dragons into dinosaurs, and then gave them all a whole bunch of different names for the different bone structures and stuff. That's where we were calling them water dragons and sky dragons.
So one of the things it was going to the dragons. One of the other things, this is something I dug up a couple of days ago, and they're saying if dragons were real, the problem with trying to find dragon bones is their bones would be similar to bird bones, and bird bones don't last long periods of time, thousands of years, because of how they are to make the bones lighter for the creature to be able to fly. So if there were dragons and their bones were made the same way, you're not going to find them because they're going to just crumble down into dust, before we can dig them up.
Yeah, I can dig that. I've heard that story somewhere, or something similar to that. I could dig that. That would be feasible in a lot of senses. But like I was saying, we could have different types of dragons, like ground dragons and flying dragons and water dragons.
I mean, there are. I mean, the Asian dragons are very different than the European dragons.
European dragons, yep. And that's a weird thing about that is how they, very
dragon, and they don't even know each other.
Yeah. They didn't even know each other, but they very clearly drew them both very differently. And then they also had them represented very differently. As in Europe, the dragons of Europe were hoarding dragons, and the dragons in Asia were considered to be dragons of wisdom and knowledge and reverence, to be honored. So there was totally, that totally different. That's
culture.
But what's funny about dragons is they lead back to caves.
Yep.
Dragons, once again, are another mythological thing that leads us back to caves. Yep. And why were men going into caves and finding dragons in the first fucking place? That's my big question. Why were we even going that way? Why was that the route we wanted to go?
We're curious creatures. We're all going to go look searching.
I mean, it could have been. I mean, who knows? I mean, I could make up a ton of different stories. I mean, you could have had, a couple of knights out, working their way back to, their cave or their stronghold, and they hit some bad weather and needed some shelter and saw a cave in the distance and stumbled on one there. There could have been, a farmer looking for a couple of lost sheep. I mean, you could come up with a bunch of different, ideas and reasons to go into a cave. I mean, could have been a couple curious teenagers that then came up missing, and then dad went to go look, you know what I mean? You could play that scenario in 1,000 different ways.
Yeah, I guess. Totally. I just wasn't thinking on that logic aspect. Like, but like, you don't go looking for a dragon in a cave. You go into a cave and you stumble on the motherfucker, but I didn't think, I thought some stories are, there's a dragon in this cave, go kill it, you can marry my daughter. Right. one of the big stories we like to tell about dragons.
Well, and that probably happened once, and then it got put into every single medieval
Oh,
novel ever written.
Yeah. Because that's the romantic,
Yeah.
That's the most romantic way to talk about it, I guess, in that sense. To where,
go right,
the story would be
dragons,
carried.
they call slaying dragons for the for the damsel in distress.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, so they if you romanticize the killing of the beast, then it gives the beast less.
It makes for a better story, and it gives them
True.
less.
All
right, but well, let's get into story number
let's
2.
Let's go into Night God's got story number 2 for us.
Trump withdrawing American troops from the Kurdish border. His exit was premature, giving the president of Turkey the green light to attack the city inhabited with 30,000 Arabs and Kurds. President Erdogan shelled and bombed the city of Ral-Zain until it lay to rubble. They called it Operation Peace Spring, and the Turkish-backed Syrian army laid waste to the city. But this early attack drew some unwanted visitors, some Anunnaki allies, a horde. These creatures were scattered throughout the Syrian caves when the bombing started, and it gave them just what they needed to attack the city. They emerge out of nowhere and join the carnage and begin taking people through their portals. They even take the corpses. Nobody really knows why, but you can assume. They abduct men and women alike. There is no discrimination, and they'll take them back through their stargates. It was at this moment that Putin was blindsided. He was preparing for a battle with these creatures, but not that soon. He and the Minister of Defense, Sergei Shoigu, had planned the attack for November, not October. Putin had a team of Spetsnaz soldiers ready. They had advanced weaponry given to them by the Minister of Defense to get rid of the disadvantages they had once had before while fighting these Anunnaki horde. It was now shortly after dark, and the creatures were continuing their mayhem when 250 Russian Spetsnaz soldiers descended upon the Syrian city. But this time, they were prepared. The Minister of Defense had given them AK Kalashnikov rounds coated with a special substance, a top secret substance. This rendered the Anunnaki exoskeleton useless, and it penetrated the skin, killing them instantly as they drove past a street with bodies piled up in it due to the Anunnaki.
Okay, so from my understanding, the governments of the world, of Earth, some governments have contact with certain alien species. Some aliens have openly fought against the Anunnaki for eons or whatever. So that brings us to the stories that we were listening to back in the beginning of between episodes 1 and 20 of the Late Night Load, between Hellier and stuff. We were watching stuff about the Anunnaki, learning about them, getting the basics. Remember, the Anunnaki had a lesser version of themselves that we ended up discovering most people refer to as the Tall Grays. Okay, so the Tall Grays would have snuck that technology over to the humans to give the humans an advantage against the Anunnaki. That's where that transpire would have happened right there. It's like a peace treaty or a trust, as in like, hey, you can trust us, we'll give you weapons to protect yourself type of a deal. You just have to figure out how to make them yourself. We'll give you a couple. Here's the ammunition and the rifle. You can shoot it up. And then you have to make it type of a deal. All right, we're gonna keep going.
Horde. The Russians encountered the 35 creatures standing at 9 feet tall.
Damn.
They engaged the enemy using stun grenades and the special rounds with their AKs, and the Anunnaki horde were stunned. 35 of them are frozen solid, looking around as their counterparts dropped to the ground and disintegrated. Upon death, this breed of Anunnaki secretes a liquid that disintegrates their body, so you can't harvest it and study it for scientific purposes. The hailstorm of bullets took out the Anunnaki crossbreed. The Spetsnaz soldiers won the battle. According to the soldier that leaked this story, this is one of many battles that the armies have had with Anunnaki warriors. So
that's an interesting thought, though. That they said that it turns their bodies into an unrecoverable gelatinous mass or whatever.
Well, it releases a liquid.
Is that the Anunnaki's kind of defense mechanism, or is this the bullet that does? That's what I didn't understand.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up.
I think from the way I understood it, that's almost a defense mechanism of themselves, so that they can't be you can't find their weaknesses or study and learn more about them. Is my kind of understanding.
But it looks like the bullet did something to the armor, so they didn't get past the exit.
Yeah.
So they had some there.
Over a number of stories like this, where they claim certain forces from Russian to United States or American military to European military encounter Anunnaki warriors. And it's been going on for some time. Of course, this is just alleged, so take it with a grain of salt. Could be true, may not be true. But at the end of
Okay, so that also brought up something else. I know for a fact from being around friends of mine that are drunk, during their trips to Iraq, they've brought up the fact that some of the ammunition they may or may not have utilized during their trip was coated with something called irradiated rounds or whatever, meaning basically, uranium coatings on the rounds.
You make armor piercing bullets with that. Yeah. Irradiated. Irradiated. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm thinking that could have been also like those bullets, those same type of bullets, because remember, we're also talking about they were coming over, they were experiencing these giants in Iraq as well. Like, there's stories coming out of Iraq as well about these giants and stuff. Nobody I know saw anybody or said anything about them, or at least I haven't talked to anybody that said anything. But, I have heard about the armor piercing rounds and stuff like that being used over there. And it wouldn't really even need it. Like, those rounds weren't like, they were only good for somebody if like you were fighting other tanks and stuff. Like, they weren't.
Right.
I don't
know.
Today, I think it's noteworthy, and that's why I'm sharing these stories with you. To me, it seems like Russia tends to battle with them more than any country. There was even a battle with them where they used some sort of turret on top of a Humvee that shot out a laser that they could neutralize them with. Mm-hmm. So if this is the case, then countries have been working with technology that can take out Anunnaki or extraterrestrials alike. And from what I'm reading, it seems like they started showing up in 2019, late 2018, 2019, 2020, right before COVID. So is that a foresight to anything? Maybe, maybe not. But it's good to make reference of it. Either way, even if these aren't real, they're awesome stories. They would make great Hollywood flicks. Like, somebody's got to put them on.
Agreed.
At the end of the day, this is what I do. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Stay in love, stay in light, be kind to others. Oh, before I go, one more quick thing. Keep an eye out, y'all, because I'm about to up my apparel game on another level. With pictures like the one you see behind me. Authentic art. I'm going to put them on my tees. They're going to be graphic. They're going to be gnarly. Keep watch. Keep your eyes out for them because they're coming soon. I'm going to keep it themed to my content. Again, like you see the pictures behind me, they're going to be ill, y'all. So be on the lookout for those because I will be popping them off very, very soon. I know I've been weak on my apparel game. It's time to step it up. It's about to be righteous.
Right.
All right, y'all. I am out.
All right, and that was an awesome video from our favorite conspiracy night god. Anything coming through there? No. All right. Okay, so I get random conspiracy stuff. Even like I'll just be scrolling this section of Facebook, and some random shit will pop up, like super conspiracy weird and stuff. So, all right. So a couple days ago, Leprechaun sent me a video. Or sent the group a video. I'm not sure if it was to me directly or the group, but it was like these weird mermaid dolphin creatures with arms, and they were like swimming like this and shit. I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" At first I was like, "This is weird." Like I've never heard of anything like that. So I was like, "Let's go back and see." Let me check where it was. Oh yeah, here we go. So
if you saw this
and this is by Psycho Polly. Okay, Psycho Polly is doing this video. So, but we're gonna just stop right there because that's the creature I was just talking about. Like straight up, that looks crazy. That's real? What?
The Ningen is a Japanese legend about these humanoid whale-like creatures that roam the Pacific Ocean. The legend goes that these things are kind of like sirens or mermaids as they sing sailors to their death. However, they are much larger in size, as they're said to be up to 50 feet according to some legends, and have human-like arms or even legs sometimes. Some believe this is a picture of a Ningen that was found on Google Earth in 2008 of a Ningen swimming close to the surface. While some say this is a more recent legend, what's interesting is there's similar creatures that were talked about in both Viking and Indian folklore back in the day. But think about how massive the ocean is. Do you think it's possible a large creature like this could hide from us for a long period of time? Tell me what you think in the comments.
Well,
if you saw this thing swimming towards you, what would you do?
All right, so that was that. My thoughts on that one is, dude, like that's some creepy type of Silent Hill type shit, but in the water. That's all I got for that. Did you do any follow-up research on that, Leprechaun?
I would shoot it.
Because I couldn't find anything. Like, that was, like, the only thing I'd ever seen. This is the first time ever hearing about it. That's why I'm just, like, I'm giggly about it. Because I'm just, like, I've never...
How was its name spelled on there?
I don't know.
Well, they showed it because then they're talking about the folklore from Japan about it. And that's the one thing I did want to look up.
If you saw this thing swimming towards you, what would you do?
Ningen.
Ningen.
Man, that's too close to the other N word. You can't say that. We just gonna call it we gonna call them things Moby Dicks.
What up, my ninja?
See, that's just too much.
The ninja.
So
that
was definitely.
Give me just a second here.
That was definitely weird.
Right. Brown streaks in the water.
Brown streaks in the water, rainbow colors in the ocean.
I'll talk about shit in my pants because I'm scared.
Oh no. Don't do that. Don't do that.
There we go. Here we
Charge
go.
my phone. What's it telling you?
All right. So yeah, there's not a lot of depth when it comes to the folklore like he was kind of portraying it. They really only started becoming a conversation back in like around 2005 with the Google Earth image that they're talking about. 20 to 30 meters. And I guess there is some Japanese mythology behind it, but there's not a lot, not enough to me to call it credible, I guess. Be interesting. I would love to, talk to, some, like a historian or something from Japan and be like, you got anything on this? You know what I mean? In ancient texts, or give me the rundown. Is this just BS, or is this something that you guys got some stories of? But I mean, some of it refers to it as a creature, some others refer to it as a humanoid.
Right. I mean, only because it has like a humanoid aspect. I mean, think about how we're having such a problem. Everybody's struggling over their gender. Blah blah blah. The point being, like, these are just words. These are human words that we've made up to describe things. Like, that is it's definitely an interesting creature. Yeah, everybody wants to see what they want to see. It's like art. We all have our own eye, for beauty or for ugliness. and our ego will choose to speak on it.
So here we got in the beginning of 2012, Japanese website which claimed that the members of a whale research witnessed the creature as it surfaced near the ship off the coast of Antarctica. Originally thinking it was a submarine, the crew went and took a closer look, but it vanished into a wave. Or there really isn't much more on that article. Then they talk about the Google Earth image. Yeah, so I mean, there's not a lot to find. I mean, if I did some more digging, maybe I could find more. It's just one of those things. I come across those videos, and I'm just like, oh, I'll send it to Oz. It'll be fun, regardless of how much is really behind it.
Right.
Heard.
And like the dog man thing, the dog people, and this is the idea of where Anubis came from. Anubis, right, is supposed to be literally a dog-headed figure. Literally. There's a point in time,
Yeah,
because it's not really a dog. He's an alien. He's an extraterrestrial, but he's not.
Well,
And they have a dog like that.
what's really funny about that is the dog that Anubis is modeled after doesn't even come from Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The dog
Exactly.
doesn't
Cool.
exist in Egypt.
Right.
I've been looking at that too, but that all plays into my whole theory of the humanity being older than Pangea. I still have a theory that runs all the way back to Pangea. Like that's where humanity started, and the first civilization.
No skeleton ever found on our planet is 28 million years old. Explain that. It's 28 million years old. The Guadalupe one. 28 million years old. Found in a peat bog.
Time traveler. No.
Yeah, right. So, but like where my thought process is that the whole theory of civilizations recycling into the earth.
Right.
We know that the earth, the crust and everything eats itself and goes back in and melts it all down and stuff. So that's where it all went. Like if everybody ever wants to ask me what I think where it went, if something's missing from the puzzle, that's where it probably went, is the earth like swallowed itself back up to recycle itself.
I mean, look at the deterioration of some of the structures from 500 years ago. I mean, look at the structures that we make nowadays that wouldn't last 50 years without maintenance. I mean, it's you're not going to tell me that it's not believable because you can't find the physical proof of it when we're talking about millions of years and we're talking about I mean, what's left from a million years ago? I mean, we're
what I'm
saying, the bones that we find.
Right, but what I'm saying, what's left is it's all over, but we're calling it the wrong thing.
Right.
Okay, so we need to stop calling it ancient Egypt, and we need to give it a proper name. So, because what we're doing is we're finding all of these relics from ancient Egypt in America, in South America, in Asia, in Africa, where Egypt is. But we're finding all these relics, all these obelisks, all these things. It's clearly telling us that the Egyptians are hiding something about this. They're laying claim to something that they probably don't even know themselves what they're laying claim to half the time, because it's pretty clear that this was a world civilization. Yeah, Egypt today does not represent a worldwide civilization like that. That just, it doesn't match up.
Common knowledge and the trade, the intercontinental trade of everything, because it was somewhat peaceful. And there's a lot of those artifacts got scattered, but I think, like you said, the dominance of Egypt, or maybe like the Ottoman type empires like that, were the dominant race, and they had trade everywhere. So we're finding, Egyptian artifacts in
Well,
our
I'd
country
like
now.
to, like, not tonight, because I want to pull up a bunch of stuff, but I would love to just dig into some of the stuff, that they talk about that's, hidden in the Grand Canyon. I think we could pull
I've
up
been
enough stuff that we could do a whole show on, a bunch of different stories evolved around the Grand Canyon.
I've been slowly doing my research on that. That's what my research has been lately, is slowly looking into that stuff,
Yep.
along with like just following whatever else is going on, to like trying to just track like modern paranormal type stuff. I don't want to call it like anything else, but like, what we view and what our grouping is going to view as paranormal activity. I'm trying to be up to beat and up to pace. Now I've been weeks ahead of some people who I usually get my information from lately, because I've been so geared into it. Yeah, I've been coming up with information way faster than my other guys. But when they finally come out with their information that they're coming out with matches everything that I'm saying, as if I already knew what they were going to be saying on their documentation when they did it. So it's pretty cool. Because Secure Team 10 is one of my UFO channels, and they're finally just now this week, like yesterday, they finally released a video about the balloons and the explosions in Ohio, or the explosion in Ohio, off that derailment, the train derailment.
Yeah.
I was on that Ohio shit like right away. I was like, oh yeah, our prayers go out to the people in Ohio, blah blah blah. I hope you all, it kind of sucks. Like the whole situation over there really sucked. Like I was super sad to see that. So we'll be stopping by and stuff in a few places as we go through that way this summer. I'll be on a road trip this summer. Be my first one out of Minnesota since the kids were like 1 and 2. So it'll be pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
My niece is getting married, so gonna go watch that happen.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, so while I'm doing all that traveling, I'll also be doing some documenting and stuff, sightseeing, looking. If I'm doing any traveling at night on the campsites, I'll be doing skywatch and shit for
stopping
crazy
any small little random towns. You got to ask the locals any good stories.
Yeah, definitely. That's all like stuff that's on my itinerary, is that type of stuff. So yeah. And yeah, so what is it? So I didn't really have much to go on tonight for stories. I thought we were gonna I think we spent an hour on that. We can switch gears, start talking about other things. Like I started sorting magic cards further.
No.
So now I have all my rares are sorted by mana cost now.
Nice.
So that's like an accomplishment right there, just to get that section done.
My collection would not be nearly as sorted as it is if it wasn't for Kiriana coming and moving in with me and being able to sit down with her and just crush the boxes and separate them by rarity and color and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little less than halfway on getting all my stuff documented into that app and priced.
Nice.
Tomorrow, I think Mr. Carter and his daughter and his son are supposed to come over, so the kids are playing. Me and him and his son, and maybe Kiriana before she goes to work. Although she might already be gone at work, but we're gonna get some cards in, do it up.
Awesome.
Maybe I'll figure out a way to get the tablet up and just do a small stream on it on my Twitch page or something.
Oh yeah, I'll watch.
Get a couple matches in, recorded.
Damn straight. I'll watch that. No problems. And then, so here's one of my new commanders.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I'll pull it up on the big screen so we can read it out. Legendary creature, Phyrexian Angel, Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, 7/7, cost black, white, blue, green, and 3 wastes to cast. When Atraxa Grand Unifier enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So that's just insane.
Yep.
That's super insane. So that's one of my new decks. Here's another one of my new decks. Ultra Magnus Tactician. This deck is it's kind of there, but it's kind of I feel like I could come up with a gimmick or two for it still. So it's definitely got space to grow moving forward. So
that's how I feel about my Optimus Prime deck. I kind of slapped some stuff together, and I tried to use as many of the Transformers as possible that went with the color suit. And I mean, a lot of them had to do with one counters and and then artifacts. But I want to. It needs a strong fine tuning before I'm going to be happy with it.
Yeah. So I think I went with. I think I'm gonna go Arcbound with this deck. I think is what my final thought was on this one because of the way it's set up. It's like it's all about attacking, and Arcbound passes around 1/1 counters, so it'd be a cool deck that way. It doesn't do much else besides that.
I think when tell you that I finally cataloged my Angel deck.
Oh no!
Yeah, that one took the top seat from the Dragon deck. It was priced around 400.
Yeah, that's not a cheap deck.
No, I mean it didn't surprise me either. I knew going into cataloging that one that it was going to be a pricier one.
Yeah, no, I haven't downloaded the app or done anything with that app yet. Just because like I've got so much else going on my phone right now. I'm constantly loading and deleting shit, so I'd end up deleting the app. Like I got a bunch of games that I'm kind of playing, not playing, that I might have to delete here in order to do some video recording and editing and stuff. Or else, I don't know. It's been tight these past couple videos I put out. Not the live streams, but like my actual videos. Yeah, it's been tight getting those out because I got to have twice as much space as the video is in order to render all the old video footage into the new video compact. And then once it's compact, that's the piece that I put out to the world to give everybody. But it just takes all that buffering space and data space to make up for some bullshit reason why you can't just compile all these videos and delete them. And it would be much easier if it did something like that. But it doesn't, so I gotta suffer through. Then so that's what I've been doing mostly this past like week here is just sorting cards constantly and take 5-10 minutes. Oh, I've been doing other things too, like picking up the house and getting the back hallway cleaned out and stuff. I'm gonna have some I gotta fix the floor in my back door jamb because it's letting water in and it's starting to rot. So
you don't want that. That's gonna be a big headache fast. I've a lot of my free time. I've been nerding out on that Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh yeah,
I've put in around 60 hours in the last week and a half on that, and for me, that's a lot of gaming hours. That's squeezing a lot of gaming hours in on a typical busy day for me. I mean, I've definitely had a couple of nights where I had to be up at 7:30 or 8, and I'm looking at the clock at 8:30, and I was like, I can do one more mission still.
Yep. I haven't played any new games yet. Haven't been doing anything. After I beat Pokemon Scarlet, I just decided to take a little break from console games, and that's why I switched gears over onto my Magic cards and just started getting them sorted.
That one's easy to dock a lot of hours in, so I don't blame you. I definitely took a big break after I got as far as I wanted into that. I still got to fill up my Pokedex, but I've made a lot of progress on that one.
I'm missing 90 Pokemon.
Yeah,
I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I think I'm probably right around there. I might even be a little bit less. I'm not sure, but I mean, A lot of them, it's.
You,
It helped for me a lot. It helped with me having Kiriana playing the opposite version because we were able to trade a lot of the stuff right away. Like
yeah.
I already got
There's
her legendary. We already traded our legendaries back and forth, so we had each copy of that.
cool. Then the home, the Pokemon home or whatever is supposed to be updated soon, so you can just transfer what you
Stuff.
don't have. Yeah, you'll just be able to transfer what you don't have soon, anyways. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be ridiculous because
transfer from Arceus
or from Sword and Shield. Are you kidding me? How many?
Oh yeah, like I don't have Sword and Shield like you do, so.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
that's just because I didn't have the Switch when
the
Sword
Switch
and Shield
then,
came out. Or else, yeah, I probably would have it.
You ever get bored? That one's worth picking up and playing.
All right. Yep. And then, did you hear the Nintendo Switch? If you have the little yearly account or whatever for Nintendo Switch, they just released Game Boy and Game Boy Advanced on the Switch.
Shut up, because I definitely already have that. Dude, you just
but there's only like 5 games out right now, so don't get too excited. They're not that great.
Oh, they didn't. They haven't dropped like the original Pokemon games on there yet.
No, those aren't on there. So
once they drop Yellow, it's a wrap. I'm not going to allow the kids to play anything else until they beat that.
Yeah, so it's a very limited
selection for now.
Yeah. So I give it like 6 months and it'll be a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Because every month they'll come out with 1 or 2 new games. And
it'll be easier for them. It'll be really easy for them to drop a lot onto that fast.
Oh yeah. Because I just got that update. Like somebody had just sent me like an info, like a little email or something from Nintendo. Like, hey, you got the new Game Boy, Advanced Game Boys and stuff. I was like, what? There's a Game Boy thing? I was like, yeah. I was like, let's check it out. So I went and grabbed it on Dustin's and I loaded it up and there's only like 3 or 4 games. I was like, well, I'm not mad about the game selection, but no Pokemon? That would have been like your crush it moment.
That'd have been
with Pokemon.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would have done. I mean, when it comes to Game Boy, I mean that's blew Game Boy up in my eyes. I mean, I had the original black and yellow screened Game Boy. I had the little attachment that put the light over it so you could play in the dark.
Magnified it.
Yep.
I had the cord that connected mine to Jeremiah so we could battle each other once we had gotten all of our Pokemon up to 100. Like I had a little stupid attachment for that old school Game Boy as possible. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, like, I didn't have any consoles back then. My parents wouldn't let me have a Nintendo or nothing. So, the Game Boy was something I was able to buy myself. And then, that was my thing. And yeah. I don't even remember what other games I had other than, the original Pokemon games.
I had Paperboy. And I had Zelda. I had Mad Max. I had a Contra and Battletoads. I think I had Battletoads on the Game Boy. So those are the games I had on Game Boy when I was a kid.
I had Red and Blue.
Yeah, and then my mom so I don't know what happened to my Game Boy when I was like 5 or 7 or whatever. Like I was a little kid, I had it. It went somewhere. Someone took it. It got lost. Something happened, and then my mom would never let me get another one. Like after that, she'd never let me get another one. And then Pokemon came out, and I like begged her for Pokemon. No, never. So I never played the original Red and Blue until you could emulate it on a computer.
The emulators were so good.
They were good, and I was told that the one emulator that I had, I was told it was like a spot-on copy of Red and Blue. And then there was also the other emulator you could get, which was like Diamond or whatever they called it. Or it wasn't Yellow, it was Emerald or something before Emerald came out. And
Emerald and Sapphire?
Yeah, well, no, because before Emerald came out, like in 2000 something,
Or was it Emerald and Diamond?
yeah, there was
I can't remember.
Emerald Sapphire?
They've dropped so many.
yeah, there was supposed to be like a leaf green or an emerald green to go with the ruby and sapphire that came out, and it never did. They released it in Japan, but never in America. Like Bulbasaur never got love in America. They never released a game cartridge for Bulbasaur in
No,
America.
they didn't like the stoner Pokemon.
Dude, it was whack,
Right.
dude. Bulbasaur was my favorite, okay? Squirtle was cool, and, Charizard, big dragon, of course. Everybody likes that. But, no, I really liked Bulbasaur, dude. Bulbasaur was Ash's homeboy from the beginning. Like, he had Pikachu, but then it was like Bulbasaur for real. So,
But he had
yeah.
the evolution potential.
Yep. So
They
yeah,
did when I had my Android, I had an emulator on my phone, and they had a bunch of like fan made emulator Pokemons, and somebody had did one where it was like, I mean, they literally put every single episode of the original Pokemon into the game.
ooh,
So
I played that one. I played that one.
You were playing it like you were playing Yellow, but I mean, you ran into Misty when she was on her bike, and you got attacked by the sparrows, and I mean they did it such justice. It was an amazing fan.
Yeah, and later on in the game, you had to follow through with all the episodes of the
You
TV
played out.
show.
You could see every single episode in the game.
Yep.
They did a great job.
I liked it a lot. That one was more challenging to play than the actual games. Like that one felt more challenging and more fun.
There was a couple that was like that. I don't even. I wish I still had it so I could give a shout out to the names of the files that they were. But because then there was another one that I played, and I mean the story was so long that you literally didn't even get to the Elite Four or the Champion until you were in the 90s. Like you had to max out your Pokemon pretty much before you could even beat the game. But there's that many trainers and stuff to do to help you get there. But it was a long, long storyline. It was dope. I mean, there's some good ones out there. If you like getting into the emulators, there's some fabulous ones out there. They're not hard to find on the internet.
Okay. Then when I played Yellow, and when I played Yellow on the Pikachu Color or whatever, the Game Boy Color Pikachu edition.
Yeah.
On that one, when I played that one, you could get to them early, but you got your ass just handed to you.
Yeah.
And then they also made it so you had to have a whole team of level 100s to go against Mewtwo. Back then, like I believe from Yellow and the couple games after Yellow, yeah, your team had to be aces in order to fight Mewtwo. Super fun. I was at that same time, I was really heavy into Final Fantasy games as well. So Final Fantasy 7 and 8. I was super playing them as well. So I can definitely say my brain got sidetracked between the two games a lot. So I was like, Final Fantasy 7, I would play the heck out of it. I never used Game Shark for Final Fantasy 7, but I did use it for Final Fantasy 8. And that just made Final Fantasy 8 such an amazing game to play. Not having to worry about anything and just being able to just enjoy the story and enjoy everything else about the game. It was pretty fun that way. But 7, if you use the Game Shark, it robs you of a lot of the gameplay in 7. Because that's what a lot of the gameplay is in 7, is getting all the different magics and stuff throughout the game and making sure you master them up and everything to make the big ones, the huge materials or whatever. That was like always my challenge. And right now I'm currently playing a Final Fantasy 7 and an 8 on the PS4. I have a run through going for both of them on PS4 right now. And it's pretty good. I'm on disc 3 on 8 and I'm on disc 2 on 7. But on disc 2 on 7 I have Ultimate Weapon and I have the Knights of the Round Chocobo and everything already. I'm like right there at the end. Or they put you on disc 3. And all disc 3 is the end boss. That's all disc 3 is the end battle. So good to know. Yeah. then things to be excited about. Sometime in the next month, Pal World is going to be dropping. I showed you guys that, right? That Pokemon RPG Genshin Impact style game.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still. It's got to be here in the next 2 months. Here, they've been pushing it back and pushing it back since 2021, I believe, and so their release date says 2023. So it's got to be this month or next month. Is usually when the big games get released, right before spring break. And I'm excited about it because I want to peek. I can shoot a Gatling gun, like that looked cool. That's all I want it for. I don't want it for no other reason. Just give me the Pikachu with the Gatling gun.
Pikachu.
Yep.
Yeah, OP as fuck.
Yeah, I'm right. And what is it? There's a Transformer movie coming out, which means there might be a video game coming out for it too, because it's supposed to be the tie-all game or the tie-all movie. It ties in all 3 different universes into one timeline.
They're tying in Beast Wars now. This is to be. I'm geeked. I'm super geeked.
I'm so excited. They finally released the toy for Cheetor, the new Cheetor toy. It's at GameStop right now. I'm gonna try and get it because it's like one of the only ones I don't have.
They're dropping it right around my birthday. I think one of those weekends I might try and get a group together and go hit the drive-in theater and barbecue and check that out and whatever else is out with it.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds like fun. I know what you're saying. So that's a movie that I'm excited for, but just all the little kitty extras that they're tossing out and stuff is what makes me excited for Transformers. I'm not too excited that they fired the original voice actor though.
Yeah.
That's kind of the biggest letdown so far about the Transformers movie is that they fired the original Optimus. So we will see if
it's noticeable.
We'll see how bad it is, how they do, because they hired back the guy who did the voice for the Beast Wars Optimus because he was a different actor. He was a different voice actor back in the day, but they hired him back. So it's still cool that that's why I'm not too upset, is they still hired back somebody who has that similar voice that already played the role. So it's not going to be too bad. Which also tells me that the regular Optimus isn't going to be the main character Optimus for the whole movie. I think it's going to have to do more with Optimus Primal and his crew. So that might be cool. Seeing that it swing that direction. I don't know. I'm just hoping and assuming. I'm not really. There's a video. Crazy. So let's look at Lodi. Lodi the homie. What's up?
Telling you, we gotta get that sent out to somebody and have him breakdancing in the background of the intro.
You think we should get him animated? I think we could do that.
That'd be fun.
That would be cool. I'll see if I got any animator friends that would be able to do that, and I'll get a couple other sketches drawn up of them to send out as well. Yeah, because this dude just looks like awesome. Can't fuck with me. That's what it looks like. It's like he's just like, man, you can't fuck with me. Ain't nothing phasing me. So I'm here to leave this fun information for you people to see. But I did draw him a different way. I didn't show you guys that. Let's see. See if I can find it. Here we go. So the original drawing. This is the original drawing I did. And it was going to be that squid with all the star points. And then I was like, what if we stood him up like Squidward instead of making him look like tentacles on the floor type of thing. So that's where I ended up with that. So I was like, huh. So, if you guys are wondering, yeah, I was doing some crazy stuff, doing some crazy drawings and shit. Just working on some artwork and stuff lately. Here's a dragon head for you. It's upside down.
Yeah.
I'm just hanging out with Dee Dee and drawing and stuff. She likes it when I doodle and stuff with her because she'll get an idea and then she'll take it. And, oh man, did I show you pictures that she's been drawing and stuff lately? Oh man, let's see. I hope I didn't delete it. Come on. No. Because she's been drawing pictures and let's see what's in the recents. Don't worry, everything's safe in here. Should have been right here. Hold on. Oh wait, I sent it to my mom.
That's really good. Good for her.
Yeah, I'm so impressed. I was so proud of her for that. I was like, wow.
Next time she comes over, I'm definitely putting in a request for a custom piece that I can put on the wall.
Yep.
That's great. That's awesome.
So, and that's what she really likes to do the most. Is she likes to do dragons. She's like, she's just recently found herself in the world of dragons and just super into dragons. And she reads these books that are all about these dragons and stuff. And it's so she's like, that's where her passion of fantasy and stuff has really taken over in her little world. Is everything her artwork is reflecting off of her likeness of these dragon books and these stories and stuff that she's coming out like basically like some kid that were like if we were like me and you when we were younger drawing ourselves in the world of Harry Potter and shit or Dragon Ball or whatever, like whatever we liked when we were younger type of a thing. And same for her, that's what she's doing. She's putting herself in the world the best way she can, and with her art it's just so amazing. I'm so happy for that she's as a parent, I'm able to provide that for her, along with Eileen as well. We both feel really good that we can do that as parents because, well, I didn't grow up with that. I grew up living in like kind of what you would consider an extracurricular wasteland. Like when I wanted to do something that was extracurricular at school, I got told no. It wasn't even well. We'll see. We'll look. No, it was no. It's like you're not doing that. Like, until I was in high school when I was with my adopted family, and then they were like, "You want to go do wrestling? Yeah. You want to go do golf? Yeah. You want to go?" They were just like, "Oh, whatever helps you out, whatever makes you,
Whatever you want to
successful."
explore.
Yep. And my foster parents were amazing people for that, and so. Not dogging on anybody else. I'm just saying, like, I appreciate those times and remember that.
Yeah.
In a good, positive way. So let's scroll the TikTok and see what people are talking about.
Russian warplanes near Alaska on Tuesday.
Well, that's not what I wanted to hear.
So listen to this. West Virginia, there were some planes that flew by. Then all of a sudden, people started seeing them dropping this gray, foggy stuff.
Oh no!
All right, let's talk real quick with what happened in Minnesota this week with politics. So first off, a bill passed the Senate that is going to restore voting rights to people that are on parole or probation. This will now go on to the House, and if the House passes it, Governor Walz said that he will sign this bill into law, and that would restore about 50,000 Minnesotans voting rights, which is just fantastic. SF2, which is paid family and medical leave, it passed its committee, and now it moves on to the first committee that started, which is the Judiciary Committee. So we are about one committee away before the Senate votes on it, which is just crazy. HF 100 passed its committees this week. Two things happened with HF 100. First off, they are debating whether the legalization age, the age to be able to consume cannabis should be 21 or 25. They weren't able to finish the debate. They weren't able to vote on that, so they will be doing that next week. And then on top of that, Governor Walz has called for the sales, the tax of cannabis to be raised from 8% to 15%, so almost doubling the taxation on cannabis.
That's why I stopped. I was waiting for this.
And be able to give back more to society and the community. And so they will also be debating that next week when it comes to what the tax rate for cannabis will be here in the state of Minnesota.
I expect it to be about 9 is what I'm expecting it to hit. So I've been following this for a little while. The Minnesota is gearing up for full legalization of recreational cannabis. And it's passed like 8 or 9 of the 12 House committees that it needed to pass. And yeah, that's not bad. That's okay. So it'll help out a lot of people, and it'll help out the government. It'll help out with a lot of other things. On the other aspect of things, if you're wondering, anybody out there, my dad has contacts with the tribal council and stuff. The Native American Tribal Council already has land, already has the equipment, already has everything that the Native American tribes need to start producing legal marijuana through the tribes. And then the tribes will be selling it too.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's something else to know about is, yes, the tribes will also be taking advantage of the because they're putting a clause in where here in Minnesota, they're going to put some affirmative action clause in where so many people who get the first licenses have to be people of color, Native Americans, Latinos, and Blacks. So I'm not upset about that. That's to pay back for.
I think that's a very smart way to like prevent your kind of
a revolt.
Well, I mean, you got so many of your, rich ass, old white guys that are just like, yeah, go ahead, we'll bank off of this. I got, a few million sitting on the side to where I can just start this shit up and make some money off the hype and everything. I think that's a good way to kind of down a little and give the little guy a chance.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is that it's more so to give the little guy a better fighting chance of establishing himself within a new industry.
Yeah, I like
I like that a lot. So, I thought it was really interesting. But my dad called me a couple months ago, and he was like, "Hey, here's the news." He gave me the whole lowdown. I've just been sitting on it and just been paying attention to it because I've been real skeptical about it because Minnesota's been that one state that's just every time it's come up in the past, Minnesota's just been like, no, and it's like, why? I thought we were like a really progressively liberal state. I thought we were. And turns out like our Senate's not progressively liberal. It's just our governors. I was like, oh, okay. Like that's news.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, just business wise, it's stupid to not have already done it. You think about it from a business standpoint. I mean, it's a $1 billion industry that you're having that money flow through people's hands and you're not taxing and getting any of that money to yourselves for whatever reason you want to do with it, whether you want to push it into the schools or the streets or the whatever or pocket it, it's still a lot of money sitting right there that you're not taking advantage of. That's going to happen no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And I do believe that some section of the money should go towards education. I believe that some amount of the taxation should also go towards educating police officers. I think what I think it should educate police officers about is that just because somebody smoked a joint doesn't mean they can't drive. It should say depends on what that joint had in it, and there's a lot of variables that go into what makes a person intoxicated off of marijuana. And it could just be like a person who smoked their whole life from 18 to 35 could smoke a joint and still drive. But a person
Yeah,
who's 21
that's
who doesn't
that's
smoke
that,
a lot, they're gonna get so giggly and they're gonna crash the car. You know,
yeah, but
there's
that's not that's like that's like saying, because I've been drinking since I was 13, I can handle my
yeah,
alcohol better,
yeah.
so
No, I
I can
understand that.
drive off of a six pack. Where
I understand that.
if Beatdown was to drive off of one beer, he's a sloppy little drunk. So I
Yeah.
mean that's I mean that's never gonna. I don't think we're ever gonna see anything like that. It's gonna be like alcohol. You are, you aren't, and they'll
Yeah.
have their ways and means of testing you, and it'll be kind of based on the situation and the opposite. You get pulled over on how the situation gets handled.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think in the
definitely.
beginning they're gonna be as hard as a hammer on in the beginning to kind of a scare tactic, and then they'll ease up off of it and they'll be a little bit lighter with it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that'll be one way they go about it. I think that'll be like their last way of being able to make revenue off of it. You know,
Yeah, well,
so yeah, which is it's not too bad. That's not too bad. So let's keep strong. Let's see what else the world has to say to us. No, it's 2023. You're way ahead of us. Nope. No. Whoa, look at that. What the fuck is going on here?
Fireworks.
Yeah, them some fireworks, all right. Wow. Somebody just said, when did this started and where? It's computer generated. Oh, that's weird.
Is this rocket? This is like N.L.O.A.D, man.
That's art. Yo, props to Lifetime 99 for doing some good art. I like
wow,
this
dude,
stuff.
this fucking
This stuff's
shit.
always
I'm like,
fun.
stuck on that going, what the hell?
This is pretty cool. I like this type of shit. Oh yeah. That's up. It's called felting. My daughter does this type of stuff. That's so good.
We are releasing a report today that details what we've uncovered. We're also sending letters to the Biden administration officials.
No.
This message is for Putin and Chicago.
No. I want to hear about the crazy stuff.
The United States, of which for centuries before. I feel way more safe in a place where the people are legally armed. If something happens, right? No way. Geographically, North America. Here in the United States, they've taken most of our.
Well, that's probably a choice you regret, huh?
Well, bad news, guys. Biden sees you.
What better way to honor for national security secrets? But now that this cow is out of the barn, the president and the director of national intelligence needs to address.
So, what do you think? This is something that I've been getting some reports on lately. Is these weird re-entries over Europe?
National security secrets, but
Transformers.
now that this cow is out of the barn,
I am Tupac.
Oh yeah, Tupac's alive, and this dude. Oh, I don't believe he died either. But this is the legit, like, this is him. This is the dude. And I always thought he was alive and stuff. But this dude, like, when he first came out, he was rapping with this new group or whatever, Jurassic 5 or something like that.
Oh, I love Jurassic 5.
Or like a group called Jurassic 5. But then now he's rapping with another group. But when he switched groups, people like made the connection that he looked like Tupac, and people started asking him, "Hey, lift your shirt up," because they wanted to see what his tattoos look like on his body. And dude, like for the first like 3 years or something, he like kept telling people, "No, I'm not going to do that. No, no, no." And finally, he was on stage at a concert and he lifted his shit up, and he had a bunch of matching tattoos. It was very. Very weird that his tattoos match. Anyways, I guess somebody made some video like saying like this dude is him and arguing all the points and stuff. So it's interesting. Oh no, that's gross. We don't want to watch that. Oh, this dude's gonna jam out. This is Robot Can, not human. This dude's awesome. That's awesome. Legit talent. No, don't care about you. No. What? Pilots can see full rainbows? Well, yeah, because they're not on the ground. That's not fair.
Russia says that there will be consequences.
This is just
Oh, yeah, it's snowing in Fresno, California. It doesn't snow in Fresno. It's
Welcome
weird.
to my world.
What you're witnessing here is one of 3 separate fires on Thursday, the 23rd, 2023, from the same oil company in Mexico.
Wait, what do you call a bisexual person on fire?
Are you not gonna? You gonna just fucking do me like that? No. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't laugh at that, but so set up. Savage. TikTok is savage as fuck. No, don't care. No, don't care. Come on, where's this? Oh, this is cool.
To be commercialized.
Are these like the new Kanye shoes or something?
Concept and or soon to be commercialized. Concept and
That's crazy.
From Ukraine, Russia has launched.
No. Well.
It's interesting watching it on YouTube on my computer and then watching it off of my phone with you guys because there's such a lag.
Yep, sorry about that.
The scary thing to me to put
Remote
100
talker.
At some point,
So you won't hear this pretty much in the news.
for being honest.
So you won't hear this pretty much in the news.
Hostile targets are being engaged. Looks like an Israeli attack is underway in Syria.
and we talk right now that
This is how petty she is right now.
All right, guys, there's breaking news in the UFO world, and to be quite frank, it's getting a little spooky. The U.S. shot down a UFO being described as a metal cylindrical balloon carrying a payload over Alaska and Canada. And now, China is preparing to bring down a UFO that's invading their airspace.
Yeah, so that was last week.
Because an alien aircraft would be carrying a payload.
All right, so
like advanced aircraft.
yeah.
They have fucking energy weapons.
So
I would need a payload for energy weapons.
my total thought process on the whole thing is it's all a distraction. It's all a cover up. It's all a distraction. We were told years ago that the first time they came out, the government would come out and say shit like this, that it would be fake. It would be them pushing an agenda. I don't know what the fuck they're pushing. All I know is this is what we were told, that they would come out the first time. Now, the next round that comes, those are going to be real aliens. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But this first round is definitely, they're using it to cover up a bunch of stuff. I'm not 100% sure. I just got one of the conspiracy people that I follow just started saying that they're terraforming the earth for the lizard people to live more comfortably. I don't know about that, but it makes some sort of sense.
That. But there's a fight back mechanism in play too. Because there's our species and there's other species that are protecting us from that happening.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But that's just one of the conspiracies through the pipeline that's coming in. Is that They're terraforming all these chemical plants that they're lighting on fire and shit like that. All that type of shit that's happening in the past couple weeks here. All the train derailments, all this stuff. That's what they're attributing that kind of conspiracy to, is that they're taking all of those and they're saying these are all happenings to create more global warming. Everything that these trains are spilling out is going to increase global warming by like way more than humanity has ever done before. Like, that's how bad some of these spills are and stuff. And lighting it on fire was a bad one, like the Ohio place or whatever. They said that was really bad. They said you should have never lit that on fire because the chemicals would have been better off left on the ground. You could have dug them up and brought those chemicals somewhere and fixed it. As to where now you can't, like, because you put it in the air, all the chemicals went up. And it's like people are complaining about dead frogs and dead birds and stuff in the path of that storm cloud after as it was dissipating over the East Coast and shit. Yeah, I got a bunch of reports about like plastic, like it was like plastic built up on car bodies and stuff, and you could push it and it like would be brittle and stuff, but you could crack it and it sounded like plastic breaking. So it was weird. Reports like that. I don't like to talk too much about this specific one because I have heard that a lot of people being too nosy or reporting too heavily or getting too involved in the reporting of this one have been getting cuffed up by the cops and stuff. Like the first reporter who was like actually on site and causing a big commotion, like, what are we doing? We need to know what we're doing. As soon as he started asking all the wrong questions or the right questions, in my opinion, they put him in cuffs and they were about to arrest him until they found out like, oh, you're just a reporter and you're just, doing your job, and go somewhere else and do your job. They were like, you're not going to do your job here, type of a deal. And they escorted him out of town. They were like, bye. So I was like, after I read about that guy and this whole situation, I was like, well, apparently they don't want anybody talking about this. So I'll let other people do the talking and I'll report what I know for the most part. But I did look into, a lot of this stuff, and all I do know is that the chemicals that ended up in the air don't have a half-life or anything like that. They are permanent chemicals. So when they come back down, they're permanent. They hit the ground, they're permanent. They don't go away. That's the problem. That's all I know about it. And so we don't know what it'll cause in the future. We don't know what it'll bring to the future. But I have a different feeling about why all these train derailments are happening. And I think as we're on the brink of some country wanting to come over here and try and invade us. And what do you do to your land when you don't want people to take it from you and use it? You make it so nobody can use it. You make it worthless. So this might be self-sabotage to keep people from trying to invade. That's one theory, and I'm not going to bring it. I'm not going to. I don't know. That's just one theory. I'm not saying it is or isn't. Just like Night God says, man, I'm just reporting the fact. I'm just reporting what has been reported to me, and you can make up your minds just like everybody else can. So
we live in such a technologically advanced world. It does nobody any good to raise your city to the ground because they don't even need to come here to take advantage of what we have or what they want.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but it's good thought. So, because that's true, that's what would happen. They would burn the city to the ground. But we are so advanced now that it's not quite. We're so advanced that someone could come and just rebuild anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Our strength is in fighting back, but interesting theory. Because that would just be like rolling over, showing the belly that way.
Yeah, no, that's just I don't know how else to theorize it, but I mean, when I believe I've read it somewhere. There's a book. Like I said, it was in a book. I think it was. I'm not 100% sure if it was in The Art of War or not, but it's in a book like The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Okay, and they talk about it. You are on the losing side of war. Here's how you spoil the winner. Here's how you ruin things for the person who's going to win. And that's the ultimate win on your end. if you're not going to win the logistic battle or the actual, munitions battle, then you're going to win on the end of the whole tier by any spoils they try and take from your land won't be worth anything. Like I said, I don't think that was out of Sun Tzu. I think it was out of something similar to the Art of War, though, that I read. Something, it comes out of Japan. I want to say that comes out of Japan. And it's a samurai thing. Samurais, to get back at some of their leaders and stuff, they would salt their lands, and then you would have to spend ages trying to get that land to be useful again. That was one of the first ways.
Wrap shit up, man. You just salt so much farm, fuck yeah.
So, and that's where I believe that comes from. And all I'm just saying is, like, I know it was done in the past, and people did that stuff in the past, and it seems like it could possibly be being a tactic utilized again. Not saying it's a great option or anything. I hope nobody thinks that.
Yeah, just put it past them. Anything can be done.
And but that would explain why, the American government really isn't putting any money to the pedal for all these disasters, quote unquote, is because, well, when you have to put money to it, you have to investigate why it happened. And then once you investigate why it happened, then you have to look at the person who did it and go, why'd you do that? And sometimes you don't want to find out who the person is that did it in the first place, especially if you're the government and you're the one who did it. I did get a report in last week that Marines near a military base in Washington or Oregon, they took a couple FBI agents to task, unalived them task, and because they caught the FBI agents trying to sabotage a power plant, a facility here in America. This was an interesting report I got. I didn't dig too much into it, but that would tie in to the, what I'm thinking over here with all these other places. Like maybe that FBI unit got to that side of the country after, making their way through, and they got caught at the last, like one of their last destinations on the West Coast, as they made their little trip, their way through. I don't know. That's just another, me speculating on how messed up, the government's been lately, and the FBI has been on some shit. Like they've been on some real number 1s and 2s lately. So, yeah. So that's conspiracy talk from Web C. That's all I know.
I can dig it.
Ta-da!
I can dig it.
So I do pay attention to that stuff. It's not every day that I want to report on all that stuff that I'm paying attention to. So that's what I'm tracking live right now, is all the stuff I just talked about. I'm constantly keeping an eye on and tracking it live. I do pay attention to the whole World War III hubbub and stuff too, but I'm kind of over that already. It's been a year and nothing really exciting's happened, so I'm kind of the president of America did a power move. He went to the middle of where they were bombing and made them stop bombing, just as a show of force. Like that was probably the biggest power play Joe Biden has ever and will ever do in his entire life, is to just step foot in Ukraine and cause Russia to stop attacking. That's the only thing he's ever done that I can give him any kind of kudos for so far. I'm not really impressed with this guy.
Right.
So
agreed.
But that was a ballsy move though, to go into the middle of a war zone like that. Call up Russia. Hey, we're sending the American president over there. You better not attack. Like that's got to be an interesting call.
What dog information?
They sent it in text.
Priceless.
Oh, it's about pushing 1 here.
Yeah, I was about to say we're getting down to it, so I'm gonna call it a night for the night. and we will. I got a charged up headset. I'm gonna play some. I'm gonna play a little bit of the Spider-Man game now that I've got some stuff unlocked and stuff on it. So if you guys want to stick around for a little bit and see that, you can watch me play the Spider-Man game, or else you guys can take off and head out.
Yes, sir.
All
Yeah, well, you
Yes,
guys
sir.
have a good one. I'm gonna get out of here.
right.
Yep, I'm out because I'm gonna get up early, get my son tomorrow. Got the day off.
All right. Well, you guys have a great one. Have a good day tomorrow, and we will see you on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Later.
Later. Perfect.